Hello there, I'm Rafael de back at it again on another Friday night in hopefully what is another step closer to what we can finally call again another beautiful Friday night. And this week I wanted to do something that I haven't done here on this channel in a little while, and that's answer some of your questions directly in a kind of Q&A type style video. Before I get started on this video though, I do just want to say that if you do ever end up sending me a message, even though my audience in comparison with a lot of other people on the internet, you would say it is quite small, but I receive so many messages per day that I can't even keep up with them. And even if I just wanted to open up every private message and email that I received, that would be more than a full-time job. And I'm not even talking about responding to these messages, but also if you do ever send a question that is on a legal matter, like for legal advice, that's something that I probably won't answer just to begin with because I'm not a lawyer or a legal advisor and not qualified to give advice in that regard. But for people who are looking for advice on becoming an Italian citizen, I'm more than happy to lead them in the right direction because there are a lot of resources online and people that can help. And just before we get too much deeper into the video, please be sure to subscribe with that notification bell turned on. And if you could also give this video a like and share it with your friends, that would be greatly appreciated because it does help out the channel. And of course, a huge thank you to the patrons who make videos like these possible. It is because of you guys that videos like this can happen. So thank you so much. All right. I guess it's time to bust out the glasses. And yeah, I do wear glasses full time. It's just when I'm recording these videos, I don't have to necessarily be looking at something or reading something, so I like to take them off because glasses are not normally the most comfortable. These are actually, they're big, but they're actually very lightweight. Anyway, let's get over to Instagram because there's been a number of messages here that I think would actually be interesting for a lot of you because a lot of the questions that I do get are questions that are the same ones over and over again. And that's why I'm also not able to respond to so many emails is because what I try to do is in those situations that I try to make a video. So most of the questions that I receive, I've actually already made an answer to in a previous video. And so in this video, I will be referring to some videos that I have made previously that I would say are probably the best place to check out. But there are times when people want more personalized information. And that is something where if people are interested in a private consultation session, that is something that I offer, non-legal, non-financial advice, but just advice on moving to a new country. And because sometimes people want to have somebody bounce ideas off of and talk to about the situation. But anyway, not important. Let's get just straight into this first one from Romina C. Hi, Rafael. I found your videos on YouTube and they have been very helpful. Very happy when that happens. That's my biggest goal with these videos. And that's also one of the reasons why, unfortunately, I'm not able to respond to as many questions as I would like, many specific ones, because my goal is to try and help as many people as possible in a free capacity. That's why I try to put these videos out there so that more people can see them rather than just a few people here and there, because I feel that there are so many people out there that they're just trying to hoard information or like protect it. And I don't know. I just think that a lot of this information just should be out there, just should be available for people to have. Anyway, just to speed this up a little bit, I'm going to paraphrase what she said. She's a dual citizen with Ecuador, and the situation there to try to find work isn't so great. And she's thinking about moving to Italy instead because she doesn't feel as though she has a chance of finding a job there. She's looked on LinkedIn, but she doesn't know if she'd be able to find a job with only English and Spanish fluency without Italian. And then she's also had a year of experience as a project manager for a major electronics manufacturer. So if we were to kind of condense this into the few basic questions that it kind of trickles down to, can you find a job in Italy without English? You're going to be fighting an uphill battle. I am not going to say no, but the few jobs that do get posted, there'll be a lot of competition for that. And what I've seen happen, and what often is the case, is that they will take a native Italian speaker over a native English speaker, even if the position requires like a very good level of English. And even if the English that the person speaks isn't so great, they'll still go with the native speaker. even though English is a very important part of that job. So that ends up having a different effect on the customer base, but that's a separate issue for a different day. But then one of the other kind of main questions that I get is about finding work in Italy. Is it easy to find work here? And I would say that's relative. If you were to ask the average Italian, finding work in the country is not the easiest thing. Finding well-paid work is even harder. Finding well-paid work as a foreigner, you're really going for an uphill battle here. And especially if you don't have the language. If you want to have a really good chance of finding work here, you definitely need Italian. Am I saying that it is impossible to find work where Italian is not required? Not necessarily, but it's going to be very difficult to find, and it's near impossible. But if you're saying, is it easier to find work in Italy than it is in Ecuador? That could definitely be the case. So again, like I was saying, it's kind of a relative situation. Is the job situation here so great? No, but in comparison to Ecuador, you might call it better, but I wouldn't say I'm that familiar with the job situation there, but from what I know about that region of the world, I could assume that the job market here would be just that little bit better. But the thing is that you really have to take into account is there is a reason why there are so many young Italians that leave the country. This is a huge thing that has been happening for years and years, and this is not a new phenomenon to Italy anyway. So if you're thinking about Italy as the place to come and find a job and make your riches and this and that and that and that, then you might be looking at the wrong country. Like, honestly speaking, even though I love this country, even though I have many beautiful things to say about this country, if you are looking for a place where the job market is solid and where you can you can become very wealthy, Italy might not be the place for you. There would maybe be other European countries that I would say could be better. I would even say that if you were wanting to start a business, for example, there are possibly other European countries that could be better. However, Italy does have a really interesting taxation situation for people who earn, I believe it's less than 60 grand a year, kind of the digital nomad or people who are freelancing. There are tax schemes with a flat tax rate where you could potentially have as little as 5% tax on 67% of your overall income. So you're not paying 5% on all of your taxes, just on 67%. That other, 33%, that other 33% would be called expenses. But that's that's an ideal situation. But depending on your tax code and the type of situation that you're in, that could potentially get you into 5% on 70-something% or on 80-something%. It just depends on the type of work that you do. And this is for freelancers. This is not for people who are looking to get a job at a company. When you're a dependent worker, this is a very different situation. And for some people who work at companies, it's that their taxes are directly just taken out of their check every month. Because yes, that is something that is a huge difference, especially for Americans, is that people get paid here generally monthly, not weekly. But Romina also mentioned in her message that she had worked for a large electronics manufacturing company in their marketing. And if you're looking in the tech industry, that's a very different situation. So you might be able to get away with less Italian there if you're a programmer, for example, but even then you would still need Italian to talk to your coworkers. But anyway, moving on to the next one from Nadia M. Hi, I just discovered your YouTube channel today and I'm in love with it already. I'm so happy. I'm always so happy to hear when people find this, the content that I make helpful. It just brings me this really warm, fuzzy feeling because that's exactly my goal with what I'm trying to do here. Anyway, basically her question boils down to if I have any tips on learning Italian. Of course, living in Italy is the best way to learn, but have I found anything else to get familiar with the language? And I did make a whole video on this subject a long time ago, and it's probably one of my least viewed videos about how to learn a language from a language teacher or how to learn any language, something I forget exactly. It'll be in the card up in the corner. I'm going to guess this corner. We'll see. Anyway, basically what it boils down to is that I hate learning in a classroom. And especially because when you have people that are at such different levels, the people who are ahead get held back and the people who are behind get pushed too far and they just end up learning nothing. So really my favorite way to try and learn a language is to get the basics of a language and then just throw yourself in the deep end and try to just speak on the street. Is my Italian perfect? No. Am I fluent? No. Can I get by? Yeah. But is my Italian great for conversation? No. But that for me is okay because As long as I can make myself understood, I don't care if the grammar is correct, because that's something that I can fix later on in the future. At this point in time, my biggest thing is I just want to get my thoughts across. But anyway, for more tips on what I would say to learn any language, not just Italian, I would check out the video that I mentioned before. Although one thing that I have been trying to do recently, which I didn't mention in that video, is watching movies in Italian with English subtitles. But getting through Star Wars has been difficult. I feel like it's almost kind of turns this like science fantasy movie into a almost kind of comedy movie. Although, like I said on one of my Instagram stories recently, that the Italian voice for Darth Vader is a lot more sinister. I love the original voice for Darth Vader. That is just imprinted on my mind. But there's just something about Darth Vader. That's what Darth Vader is called in Italian. They change a bunch of names. I don't think that's a great way to learn, but it's something I'm trying. The problem for me is mostly when C-3PO talks, he talks way too fast for me, and a lot of the language that's used is not something that I'm so familiar with. So I am struggling to get through it. But I've seen those movies so many times that I could kind of watch it regardless of whether I'm understanding it or not, and know what's going on and know what they're saying. I've seen it that many times. Of course, though, if you do have any questions about moving to Italy, Italian dual citizenship, living life abroad, that's what this channel is here for. I'm happy to try and answer as many of these questions as I can. Like I said, I can't answer everybody, which I really wish I could do. And if I can answer your question, I am more than happy to do so in an upcoming video. My goal really is, like I've said a number of times throughout this video, is to try to help people as much as I can, to try and demystify the situation, to try and get as much out there so that people can approach life here in a realistic way, because there are so many times when people have that dream of the pizza, pasta, and amore, and they forget about the realistic side of things. I've done it. I'm not saying I'm innocent here. I'm saying that it is just something that is in our human nature, that we romanticize things. We romanticize about a place being better. Oh, if I move to this place, life will automatically become better. But that's not often the case, because we always bring ourselves with us no matter where we go. That's just the situation. Sometimes there are these internal things that we have to work on before our external world can change. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on another Friday night. And of course, a huge thank you to those of you who help make videos like this possible through Patreon. Thank you for helping to make these videos possible. Anyway, as always, I'm Rafael Di Furia, and I will see you all next time. Later.